Today we're going to teach you 5 ways to earn respect from people, but first, let's tell Marcelo's story. Marcelo was an exceptionally kind boy, always ready to help others regardless of the circumstances. From an early age, he learned that being generous and helpful was an admirable quality, and so he lived most of his life. However, this kindness often put him in difficult situations. His compassionate heart prevented him from saying no to the incessant requests from his friends and colleagues. They knew Marcelo would always be there to lend money, listen to problems, or offer a friendly shoulder. However, this constant disposition also led him to be exploited and manipulated. Marcelo had a naive trust in people and often fell into traps set by those with less than noble intentions. His lack of personal boundaries and his inability to say no resulted in a gradual erosion of his self-esteem and self-worth. But there came a moment when Marcelo realized that his generosity was being misinterpreted and misused. He found himself in a deplorable situation, feeling used and manipulated by those he considered friends. That's when he decided to put an end to it. Determined to find himself again and regain control of his life, Marcelo began a journey of self-discovery and self-development. He learned to value himself and his own happiness, understanding that saying no was not a form of selfishness, but of self-defense and preservation. Over time, Marcelo began to act more intentionally, setting healthy boundaries and learning to discern between his genuine generosity and his naivety. He realized he didn't need to give up his kindness to avoid being exploited, but rather to find a balance between helping others and protecting himself. Thus, Marcelo transformed into a stronger and more self-aware version of himself, capable of being generous without becoming an easy target for those seeking to take advantage. His journey of self-discovery empowered him to face life's challenges with confidence and determination, knowing that his value was no longer tied to his ability to meet others' demands, but to his own self-esteem and self-respect. Enough of being Mr. Nice Guy. Be assertive. Just look around to realize that we live in a world that often values kindness and generosity. And that's admirable, of course. However, there comes a point where being excessively compliant can become harmful, not only to ourselves, but also to those around us. It's time to change the game. It's time to be assertive. Being assertive doesn't mean being rude, selfish, or disrespectful. Quite the contrary, it's about asserting our own needs, desires, and opinions clearly and respectfully, without trampling on the rights of others. It's about finding a healthy balance between taking care of ourselves and taking care of others. How many times do we find ourselves saying yes when we want to say no, just to avoid conflicts or to please others? How many times do we sacrifice our own interests and well-being for the sake of others, neglecting our own needs? Enough of living this way. Enough of going with the flow, always molding ourselves to the wishes and expectations of others. It's time to take control of our lives and be the protagonists of our own stories. Being assertive allows us to establish healthy boundaries, say no when necessary, and express our opinions clearly and firmly. It empowers us to defend our rights and interests without feeling guilty or selfish for doing so. It's important to remember that being assertive is not an act of aggression, but of authenticity. It's a way of affirming ourselves in the world, of valuing and respecting ourselves, while also respecting others. So, the next time we find ourselves hesitant to express our true desires or giving in to the whims of others, let's remember that being assertive is our right. It's a skill we can cultivate that will help us live more authentic, rewarding, and truly ours lives. Enough of being Mr. Nice Guy. It's time to be assertive. Now learn 5 attitudes that can change the life of those who identified with Marcelo's experience. I'll leave a card about the value of friendships on the card that also talks a bit about this topic. And to continue receiving our content, follow our channel. Now learn the 5 attitudes you should start taking today, and right after, 5 ways to earn more respect. 1. Practice self-care. Encourage them to set aside time for themselves every day, whether it's to meditate, exercise, read a book, or simply relax. Self-care is essential for recharging energy and strengthening emotional health. 2. Establish healthy boundaries. Encourage them to set clear boundaries in their relationships and commitments, learning to say no when necessary and prioritizing their own needs and well-being. 3. Cultivate genuine relationships. Suggest that they connect with people who value them for who they are, not just for what they can offer. Authentic and healthy relationships are fundamental for positive emotional health. 4. Seek support when needed. Emphasize the importance of seeking professional help, whether from a therapist, counselor, or mentor, whenever they face emotional challenges or need guidance. 5. Practice gratitude. Encourage them to cultivate a mindset of gratitude, recognizing and appreciating the good things in their lives. Gratitude helps promote feelings of contentment and emotional well-being. Now share this video with those who need to hear these words and follow our channel.